ask.
All right.
I call this meeting to order today, March 12th, 6:30 p.m. Our Sustainability Committee meeting this evening. Once.
So vigorous.
First thing, we'll do the approval of the minutes from the last February 12th.
So I move that we accept the minutes as distributed.
I did see one error. I'm sorry, it was in the paragraph about public.
Public comments?
Yes. At the very last word, it says eternal. I think you mean external.
Okay.
Minor difference.
Must be autocorrect thing going on.
Everybody okay with the change?
I prefer eternal. Not eternal, for sure. Close to that.
Second paragraph. Oh, good. I read through that. All right, external.
Nice catch, Elaine.
I did read it.
So with this change, we approve this minute? Second, yeah, thanks. Second. Thank you, yes. Yeah, all in favor of the change, internal to external? Thank
I'll
you.
change those and submit.
Thank you. We have public comments. Any public here today? That we have to speak.
We have Miss Ann here.
Okay. Thank
Some
you.
comments?
You want to step
Yeah,
up to the
we have
podium?
public. Thank you.
I'm Ann Fior, and I live at 1017 Keystone Lane in Clemson Downs. And I attended a meeting where Chris White came to tell us all in the league meeting about the efforts of this committee to get on the National Wildlife
Federation.
area, and what can we do to make that happen in Clemson? And he also said that if people have a marked conservation area on their personal property, to let the committee know, because that is something that you're working toward. And so at the end of that meeting, I asked Chris about mosquito spraying, and would that deter what the work of the committee is doing if mosquitoes were being sprayed, which is a personal issue for me, because, and if I have, I think, a couple minutes.
Okay, go.
A friend of mine, Cynthia Warner, and I asked her if I could tell the story. She and her dad would walk from the Highlands area down through the Downs, go back where the creek is, where you can go to Anderson Park, or you can go across the bridge. And they sat there at night and waited for dusk and then watched the fireflies. And she said they did this for years. They would walk down through the Downs, they would go over to this bridge and sit and be quiet, and all of a sudden it would be covered with fireflies. We used to all have butterflies. My parents lived in the Downs, I live in their house. They used to have monarch butterflies. I have lantana everywhere. We don't have that anymore. We have our president of the POA, Webb Smathers, is a beekeeper. Not there, but outside the Clemson community, and he's lost all of his bees. This is very alarming to me. And after I did some research, mosquito spraying is a good thing, and there's a lot of people that will go to the mat with me in the Downs. I'm not saying that I'm totally opposed to it, But I'm wondering why all of this. And part of it is because we are not planting wildflowers, which would be a big help. We are not controlling the amount of thickets that are in the downs that people are trying to clear out so it will look prettier.
Sorry.
We are not waiting to rake our leaves where butterflies lay their eggs in leaf litter. We are not doing any of that. My question is, will that kind of information be out to the community, ways that we can all, so that I'm meeting with people from CARC. So a lot of people think that if you live in the Downs in a house, you're part of Clemson Area Retirement Center across the street with the apartments and the health care and memory care, assisted living and everything. We're totally separate, but we work together because we're all in the same area. They want to know what I find out from you, if that's because we want that whole area to be designated as part of your efforts and encourage other communities to do the same. So my issue is with mosquito spraying. I've done a little research. I'm definitely not an authority on that whole area. But if people plant eucalyptus, if they put eucalyptus oil on themselves, if they spray themselves with an organic spray, they can prevent themselves. What concerns me is the literature I've read about what we spray in Clemson. They recommend that you keep your pets inside and shut the doors, and if it's that bad for pets, it's not all that great for us either, and it's for sure not great for all of the little critters that we are missing now. So all of this is to say, I just wanted to speak to the issue. I wanted to know if we do leave our thickets, if we do plant wildflowers, what should we do in the Downs so that we can be part of your effort to make this entire town, hopefully, more conservation friendly and aware, and that's why I'm here. So that's all I had to say, and I hope to sit and listen to hear about parts of that if that's on your agenda, so that I can take that information back. And I thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ann.
And I have a question. Can I ask you? I mean, that was very interesting information that we never think about this spray, mosquito spray. We all expect that after so much of rain that we should have some kind of a spray. But as you said, that so you think that is directly affecting our population of bees and 100%. 100%.
I looked up the mosquito spraying thing.
Mm-hmm.
When we asked about that, well, when I asked about it after the league meeting where he had spoken, he said, you know, for me to get in touch with the guy that does it, but I could look up about it online. And so I did. I looked up what all the chemicals are. And in another life, I was a counselor on the cancer floor for 12 years at ANMED, and I would go to every single tumor board meeting, and I'd hear about where these people worked and what they did and how come they had this kind of cancer. So I come at it from that too. I'm not blaming mosquito spray. I'm just saying that some of the chemicals in there, I recognized some of the chemicals in the mosquito spray.
Well,
So I know what people are gonna, I have dear friends who really have a problem with mosquitoes. And they've said, well, what about the Zika virus? What about malaria? And I looked up, we've had one Zika in the whole of South Carolina. Now, if it's changed, it's not in that document. But I think getting information out for people to at least consider and think about what they can do to protect themselves, rather than having to spray a whole neighborhood and get rid of all the birds, bees, and critters. I don't know if you are watching in your neighborhood about what is disappearing, but when I brought this up at the POA meeting yesterday, I had people volunteer right there on the spot saying, I used to have hummingbirds in my yard. I used to have whatever in my yards. And somebody else said, I used to have bees. I don't see any bees. So that's my concern. Not saying it's just from mosquito spray, but I think it's worth looking into, especially if we want to make this an environmentally friendly conservation area and be known for that, which would be great if Clemson got known for that. That would be a great PR thing and the least expensive thing we could do. Plant wildflowers.
Yeah.
Native plants.
Who makes the decision on mosquito spraying? Is that
City council.
But I mean, who makes who has said, hey, this is gonna be a good thing? Because like I said, if you're planting all kind of native plants, everything else, and then they're just wiping out the insects.
Well, and he did say, when I asked him about that, he said they brought it up at city council meetings multiple times. But he said that the people that live on the lake feel like they have a real issue with mosquitoes. And so they are the ones most reluctant. What I'm wondering is if a whole community would say, like, marked communities like Camelot, and
Yeah,
if they would say,
skip us. Yeah.
you know, we would like you to reconsider this. And it may not be the right thing to do. It may be that it would pose a danger to some people. And so I realize it's not a popular issue, but I think we could make people aware of what they could do individually to protect themselves from mosquito bites.
Yeah, that chemical spray is very alarming, and those chemicals, knowing about it, and I always wondered about it, those.
Yeah.
That when sometimes I have forgotten and I'm walking my neighborhood and suddenly I hear that sound and I'm running inside the house. So I know it's not a safe thing. So that's definitely something to talk about it.
Talk about.
That's what we can do. And of course, our commission is focusing on planting more flowers and making it more
I'll get in touch with you about the national wildlife stuff.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Tony, I'd be glad to go out
that
there.
certification.
And did you say you're staying for the whole meeting? Because I live in, are you staying for the whole meeting?
We should try to go.
Just,
Yeah.
I want to make sure I talk with you before you leave. I live in Camelot, and we're working on native plants at Earl Anderson Park, and it ties in nicely with what you've described.
Are you John?
I am.
Hi, John. Yeah, it's the taking out of, a lot of stuff has been removed that should never have been removed. That's a conservation area.
I've not gone on Clemson Downs property. I've only been working at Earl Anderson Park under the direction of Chris White.
Yeah.
And it was Iliagnus, Chinese privet,
Yeah, yeah,
and English ivy,
Yeah.
all three invasives.
yeah, yeah. I understand that. But that is already a designated area, but things have been taken out that probably needed to stay.
And for the minutes, what was your last name, Ann?
Fewer, F as in Frank, UHR.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for bringing this to our attention, and definitely this is something to talk about and think about in with our members. Next, we have Martin Hamilton, Executive Director of South Carolina Botanical Garden. And
Good evening. So I'm the Executive Director at South Carolina Botanical Garden here at Clemson. I wanted to take this opportunity, one, to thank you all, the committee, for your leadership. This is a really important initiative. Was just hearing a little bit about the history of this group and the resurrection of it, which is wonderful for me. I'm a very passionate conservationist. I'm a botanist by training, horticulturist by trade, and have a deep interest in sustainability. And I've brought that with me here to Clemson. So one of the initiatives that we're trying to get off the ground at the Botanic Garden is to host a sustainability fair at the garden next April. So we have applied for some funding through Pickens County Accommodation Tax We secured a small amount that'll enable us to start doing some marketing around that. And we're waiting to hear about a second application that we've put in to Pickens County. But the idea behind this would be, it's the weekend after Earth Day, so this would be April 24th and 25th. So the Friday, the 24th, we would start off late afternoon, bringing all the vendors and the folks that are actually involved in the Sustainability Fair delivery together. We're hoping to have kind of a social event, a few invited speakers. And the idea around this is to start to build a community of folks that are interested in sustainability and have the opportunity for that networking before the actual fair on the Saturday. And so that fair on the Saturday then would start in the morning and run throughout the day at the Botanic Garden. And we would have everything from vendors, local makers that have sustainable products, through to businesses that market and promote sustainable products in their business, through to corporations like our power companies, things like that, that are trying to help people live more sustainably in their approach to life at home. And part of what we're doing as well would, I think, help answer some of Ann's questions. So trying to help people through our Clemson Extension colleagues that are in natural resources, horticulture, actually having displays and giving talks on sustainability, what you can do at your home to live more sustainably. And that can be everything from approaches to gardening through to the choices you make and the chemicals that you put in your home and use on your landscape. So the idea behind this really came from my time at the Royal Botanic Gardens Kew. So I worked there in London for many years, and Kew actually had a sustainability fair. And my wife and I talk about this quite a bit, that it was through that fair that we actually found out about businesses that were within walking distance of where we live that we had no idea existed. Because they're small places, they have very little marketing funds, and they really are relying on word of mouth. And so it gave these small businesses a platform on which they could then shout to a very big audience. And so it transitioned the way that we lived, because we learned a lot from that sustainability fair, but it also meant that we knew that there were options other than the big box stores where we could get chemicals that were made more sustainably, and we understood that process. And so I think this provides us an opportunity. And as far as we're aware, it would be the first sustainability fair in the state. There are other sustainability things going on in the state, but as far as we're aware, it's the first fair of its kind that would happen, which, again, sets us ahead, makes Clemson a leader. And I think that's something, we should be really proud of. So that was one of the reasons I wanted to have an opportunity. Tony's been attending Clemson's Sustainability Commission meetings, and I've presented to them to let them know what we're doing. There's quite a bit of conversation now going on in the university about who can engage and who wants to engage with us in this. But having City of Clemson as a partner in this endeavor would be phenomenal for us, not only through helping us with planning and volunteering, but also just mentioning to us, here's businesses you might not be aware of, here are contacts that we think you should reach out to, here's ideas for this that we would recommend to you. So really that's the purpose of the tonight, is just make you aware of this and hopefully solicit some feedback from you about how you think city can get involved with the garden on this endeavor, and if you have ideas or want to be involved in a steering committee that we're pulling together. So all of this is reliant on funding, and one of the revenue areas that we're looking at is actually going out and looking for corporate sponsorships. So our foundation is going to help hopefully with that. But the garden is also opening up and soliciting business members to our Friends of the Garden program. And so through that, we also have kind of a new network of people that we can communicate with. So it's along these lines. If you've got ideas, want to hear more, please do reach out. Tony has my contact details. I have cards as well if any of you would like them. But do you have any questions for me at this point?
So you are only almost like 5 weeks away from.
No, this will be for 2026, so we've got
was
we've
just
got
wondering
13
how-
months, luckily.
I was thinking all the time that this is what it is. So at this point, do you have any kind of a plan, agenda printed, or, I mean, you said all these things, but do you have any other thing, like, in a more formal way?
Yeah, I've got a briefing document that I can share with you guys electronically, which just gives some of the basics.
That's what I was looking for.
And like I said, we have reached out to a number of businesses in Pickens, Anderson, Greenville, and Oconee counties who have provided letters of support already. So there's quite a few groups that are aware of what we're doing now through applying for funding from Pickens County. But we're, really are at the point of any idea is not a bad one. We've got time to plan this out, and we really are looking for input.
At the last meeting, you talked about the Green Crescent Trail.
Yes.
Could tie that
That's
in.
one of that's one. Yeah, we are very much really focused right now on that Green Crescent Trail, and we really wanted to do kind of day out or field trip kind of thing we were planning, and we can tie all these things together definitely. Do you think so? Yeah.
Well, it'd be great, and if I could just interject on that. I mean, when I first moved here, my wife and I are avid cyclists, and that was one of the first things. As soon as we knew that the Green Crescent Trail, we could basically start from the garden, and we cycled over to the elementary school just to see what it was like.
Yeah.
And I think there's huge potential, for us to promote. The Green Crescent Trail brings you to the garden.
Yeah,
The
that
garden
would be
can bring
great.
you back to the city. So I do think there could be a real opportunity there to promote the Green Crescent Trail at the Sustainability Fair and really try to highlight to folks that, the expansion of perimeter, whether you like it or not, it has brought a new network of pathways, which is good and can be challenging for us around game days. But we're now, I think, at a really crucial juncture at the garden where there's opportunities for us to collaborate and think more broadly about how, promoting people getting out on their bikes and using the trail, as more of a means of travel. And that would be something we'd love to highlight at the Sustainability Fair.
So, as far as the city being a partner, it seems like we would need to make a recommendation to council that the city be a partner. But then in our mission, it talks about us informing the public about efforts. So we could think about how to help maybe with marketing.
Marketing, yeah.
Where our boundaries are, and then if the council approves we're a partner, then maybe some of us as part of this committee could join a steering committee. And maybe individuals could already, but maybe not say that they're representing the city. So there's a little, in my mind, there's a little time, but it should be urgent, because a year can go fast.
It will. It surely will.
Martin, you've received a letter of support from the city.
That's right.
Oh, you did.
One thing we talked about at our last meeting, and I don't know if this is allowed yet, but we talked about instead of having one of our monthly meetings to have a sort of a round table of all groups related to sustainability. Did you find out if that's allowed? But what we don't know is how often we're required to meet. But say we're only required to meet 10 months a year, then on the 11th month, we could invite all the groups, Sierra Club, whoever else, and that would be a time for you to connect with the groups and ask them to have a table. And of course, we thought of including you. And John Heiliger over here is developing a list of all the groups and the contact information. So do give him your card. But that would be we'd be happy to share that with you. And maybe we could do that.
And vice versa, because we're working on the list too. So.
Right, and maybe we could have that meeting significantly before April 2026, like say May 2025, which would give all those groups time to think about how to help you. Does that,
We were thinking of doing that sometime in May.
well, we didn't talk about it. We still, does anybody know how often we have to meet? I don't think we
We're
have.
slated to meet once a month, so that would be 12 times.
So it will
But
be
we don't
exactly.
necessarily have to. There might not be a law that says we have to. So that's something to work out. But I think it could count as a meeting anyway, even, as instead of using our usual agenda, subcommittee reports, motions, just to have each group report in, what are you doing? How can we connect? So we'll keep you informed if we get that pulled off.
Excellent.
Well, we could also do it just in addition. If we have to meet every month,
That's true.
we could certainly have an extra meeting where we just did, then we wouldn't have to worry about an agenda and all that. We
That's
could
true.
just have a
That's what I,
roundtable.
yeah, I
You
was,
can have a meeting that was 15 minutes long, recorded, streamed, and then
That's true. So we'll do it. Are you leaving?
I was planning on staying, actually.
Oh, okay. I want to give you a business card and get yours.
because, that's why I have suggested that couple of, we should be meeting him if that's what required to meet for us to 12 times a year, that's fine. But in between, we can do these things, networking event. We can call it an event. Just like, the Clemson University Sustainability Symposium it was kind of event for networking. So.
I won't make it all the way around. I would have
I have one already,
I've got
so
a
I'm
couple
good.
more.
I have one already, so I'm
Yes.
good.
I've got one more.
Right.
Have you guys considered giving out seed gifts to everyone who comes, like a bag of seeds? I know Chris was heading up a program where you handed out a pamphlet and a packet of native seeds. I think that could be something really nice to add to the sustainability fair.
Yeah, one of the partners that I'm trying to engage, so I'll try to condense this as much as possible. 2 weeks ago, I was at the National Native Seed Conference in Tucson, and I represented the Southeast Native Seed Network, which is coordinated out of Austin Peay University. This is a brand new network. The National Native Seed Network's been running for a long time, but it's mainly been focused on the West Coast. And so the real impetus over the last couple of years is to actually broaden out native seed work across the U.S. And so this new network that just started last year, based out of Clarksville, Tennessee at Austin Peay, now has a group. We've got a steering committee set up, and the South Carolina Botanical Garden is the representative for South Carolina. Our state botanist was involved in that first meeting, and Rick Huffman from the Native Plant Society actually attended the conference in Tucson with me. So one of the partners in that group is, there's several, but one of them is a private entity that actually markets seeds. And so that is one of the things that was mentioned, whether we can get them here. They're from out of state. But if we can get them here and or do some samples. But there's also a number of folks in cooperative extension in different programs that as well may be interested in some of the talk around pollinator gardens, pocket prairies, all those sorts of initiatives. There may be things that we can do around that.
That'd be great. That's awesome to hear.
But yes, I fully support anything you guys are doing to leave habitat for birds and insects because populations are crashing. And where we're taking invasives out, we got to plant something back because those insects and birds are reliant on those invasives now a lot of the times. That's why Eleagnus, the silverthorn, is so prevalent, is because we've taken away the food source and the birds are eating them and spreading them. And the same with our Callery pears. But luckily both of those are now illegal to sell in the state, which is fantastic.
Yes. Better late than never.
That's right, yes.
I think next year we're gonna have the bounty again for the county.
Yes, we're going to
That'd
do
be
Bradford
nice.
Bounty again next year.
Very good.
Is there any collaboration between the university and the city on spring planting for these kind of pollinator habitats?
Not currently.
Okay. Something to add to the list.
Other than our retired extension agents who have put together the pocket prayer in Sedgefield.
Sweet. And do you guys have seeds for those, or?
Yes.
Awesome. Because I've seen a couple bare spots where like the erosion is going. I'll talk with you after about that.
But my personal experience is sometimes, I use those seeds and that kind of thing, and each house or each soil is so different that I never get good results, so I stopped. Now I need somebody's help to figure it out. So do you have any kind of service you guys provide just for the residents?
The Home and Garden Information Center through Clemson Extension is the first stop if you have any questions about insects, plants, animals. They do it all. Our offices, you can drop off a soil sample and it's $6, I think. It's really inexpensive to get a soil analysis done. And then they'll tell you how to interpret that. Because that's the thing a lot of people struggle with, is how do I interpret what I've got back?
Yeah, I have done that, and then I get back then, because I love trees, so I have lots of trees, and their roots are like so spread out that there's nothing I can grow very in my backyard. So those kind of issues all together combined. So we definitely need some help from you guys in that, for everybody in the neighborhood in this city.
Master gardeners need to have 20 hours of education service annually, so you can actually reach out to a master gardener and say, "Can you give me a hand?"
Like
It
him.
counts towards those volunteer hours.
Master gardeners, master naturalists, depending on what it is you
I'm
want
taking a lot of
to
things up.
accomplish.
Taking counseling, 15 hours of counseling.
Lean heavily on your cooperative extension service and the programs that we run.
I know those programs are available, yeah. It's just really wonderful. But as I said, that whenever we meet, wherever we have this kind of, thing, I think this message should be out. Just like Clemson had the sustainability symposium this last Friday. This kind of information should be out. Did you have a table or something there? Did you?
We did. We actually hosted some of the tours.
Some of the tours, you did, okay. Yeah, so it should be like, it was so many things going on at that time. You won't believe it, there were speakers, then there were some competition going on, and lots of other things going on. But the more we interact with people, the more we make ourselves visible to you guys. And I think the more ideas and efforts will definitely emerge. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you all. Appreciate your time.
Appreciate, yes, definitely. Can do it. Let's move to our action item. Motion from Energy Efficiency to recommend that some city meetings become virtual, which we have talked about it last
Thank you.
time.
I'm just
Go ahead,
wondering
Denise.
if I could do the energy efficiency report first. I have to leave in about 10 minutes. I have to be in 2 places today. Would I be able to do that first and put this motion off till after that?
You want to put the motion off till next?
Yeah.
To another
We
meeting?
were discussing putting it off till next meeting, but I was suggesting putting it at the end of the meeting and do the reports first. Would that be allowed?
You want to do it today, or you want to move it to the next meeting? Would that be?
Yes, one of those would be great. Yes.
So can we move the motion to next move?
Can we put it at the bottom of
put it
the
at the bottom.
agenda
Okay.
is my current request,
All
and go
right.
on with discussion items. And if there's time at
right.
the end when
Okay,
I
that at
won't
the end of the
be
time.
here, then Bob
Okay.
and Cindy can talk
Oh, okay, Bob and
about
Cindy can do it.
whether or not to bring it up today.
Okay. They will do that, all right. I was
They're
wondering
here.
what time.
Yeah.
That's fine. You can go ahead with that. So we'll move your motion for energy efficiency towards the end of the meeting. And we'll move to our discussion items. Subcommittee reports and discussion. Wildlife certification, energy efficiency, tree preservation. We should move on.
Could I do mine first?
Yeah,
Would you
I'm
mind?
sorry. You want to do first, okay.
Sure. So you have a copy of the energy efficiency subcommittee meeting minutes. I'm just going to remind you that last month we passed 2 motions. One of those was to get 3 energy audits of the buildings. We did at our meeting, which was on the 25th, and Rob and Cindy were there. We met with Ron Stewart, who is the public, I'll tell you his title. He is the Public Building Supervisor, number 2. And he gave us lots of, first of all, we have a great employee there. He gave us lots of information on the efficiency of the buildings, and he is already in the process of getting 3 audits of the lighting in this building. You'll see on our minutes that there was an audit done in 2022 that would have saved $5,600 a year had it been done then. And so I don't think we need to take that motion to the city council at this time, because it's already happening without us doing anything, so that's fabulous. And once he has the audits back from the 3 companies, we saw one, Welton, he's getting Cisco, and the other one is called something Wilburn, I think, and we'll talk to him and we'll get back to you on that. So we talked about that with him. He also informed us that the city, him and his staff, are keeping track of all energy problems, like when he cleans the ductwork, he finds leaks and fixes them. You see in our minutes that they're also replacing lights of, say, the tennis courts were recently done. So, and when he replaces failed HVAC units, they put in a more efficient system. So he didn't actually recommend an energy audit at this time. I will tell you that I found out today that our South Carolina State House and Senate is proposing a bill that all cities would have to do energy audits of all buildings, which I'm pretty much in favor of. It's 2039. But Act 2039, it already passed the House and not the Senate. It has some bad things in it and some good things in it. But one of the good things is they require audits. So that's interesting, but that wasn't part of our minutes. That's an aside. You don't have to put it in, Andrew. I also was able to get Sun United National, which is a company that does solar, to put the Clemson Central Rec Center in their grant. For potentially getting solar. It has to be something in Central because it has to be a town less than 10,000 people. So we'll hear back from them. I'm in contact with them.
What's the company?
Solar United National, Sun is the name. They use, it's a very interesting company. They use workforce. They teach people how to do, so they take low-income people, train them to put up solar, and they get, they're applying for Department of Energy funding for many, many buildings in rural areas. So anyway, we discussed that motion and the paperwork and basically decided not to do anything with it now. Then we discussed the Green Crescent Trail motion that we passed last time. And you will see a piece of paper that has that. Chad Carson audited or edited that for me, and here's what we will eventually. So one thing I can tell you that I learned, and I warn you, if you pass a motion here to take something to city council, there's a process. So we have a motion, but we need a piece of paper to take to city council, then we have to schedule it to go to city council. And so I'm basically recommending that for future reference, before we pass a motion, we have the paperwork so everybody here can see it. So this is a little bit out of order. But Chad prepared it, and the map is also up there. If you're interested in what these numbers are on the back, on the map, the little yellow numbers, 3 is CAM, 6 is Clemson City Hall, 7 is the Amtrak station, and then the green numbers, 3 is Gateway Park, 4 is Clemson Park, you can look up there, and 6 is Nettles Park, 5 is Ashley Deering. So our motion, which you might remember from last time, is asking to connect Nettles, that's green dotted line, and make these 2 loops that you see in the motion. You were talking about doing this loop that includes the botanical gardens. Well, there's a couple other loops created if we do these 2 things. So Chad and I are going to go to one of the city council meetings and bring this. I'm not sure which one, but I'm just giving that to you, but we already passed that motion. Any question on that? And by all means, I haven't been to city council yet, so read it, make suggestions, corrections, improvements to clarity, by all means. But it is the motion we already passed.
This is wonderful.
Oh, well, thank Chad, but I worked on it too. And then we also talked about a motion, which is the thing I asked you to move to the end, which you also have a piece of paper on, that we allow, so the motion would be, we move that city council allow some meetings to be virtual, right? Currently, they are not allowed to be virtual. And so we worked on, at our meeting and afterwards, the rationale and some suggestions, and that is this document, which is not finished. It still needs some editing. In fact, Bob and Cindy have made some wonderful edits already. So that was our meeting. So we can either take this up afterwards or do it next meeting. But any questions on what I said so far?
I have a question about this, going back to this $36,000 for, if we had done it in '22, this was the cost you were saying that you were going to, $36,000. So recovering that much money will be in about 5 years or so.
Yeah, so in
6
2022,
years,
it would have cost $36,000 to do this entire building. It will obviously cost more than that now. And it would have, back then, saved $5,600 a year, so we would have gotten that money back. One thing Ron told us that I found really interesting is the cost has kind of gone up for not replacing them, because CFLs, that's the kind of lighting that's in here, when you throw one out, so when it burns out, there's a new, more sophisticated system to throw those out. It's more sustainable, that's good, but it costs. It costs the city quite a bit of money to throw out CFLs because they have mercury in them, they're dangerous. So there's a fancy way, he explained it, very interesting. Talk to Ron sometime, fascinating guy. And so that's, recycling fluorescent bulbs is now very problematic and expensive. And so Ron really recommends that we change this lighting, which will certainly be more than $36,000. So potentially in the future, once we have the estimates and Ron tells us what he thinks, we might have a motion asking the city to do that. But we're not ready for that because the estimates are being done last week, this week, and he's still working on it. So we're simply not ready.
Yeah, so that's what I was thinking about, that we did it in '22 and now it cannot be 36 years.
Oh, it's probably twice, right?
Twice?
And we said that it would have already been paid back, but that's nearly 6.5 years for the $5,600 to meet up to the 36. So we wouldn't have been able to pay it off yet.
No,
But
That's
near,
yeah.
And okay.
well, we would have made a good deal.
And even if you do it now, I mean, as you said, with the increased price of more than 36,000, you're saying it might be double now, so then that
well, I don't know.
Yeah.
The good news is Ron has gotten LED lighting in virtually all other buildings.
Yeah, they've made a
virtually
lot of
all of
progress.
them, and that's already happened. So that's good. I think the roadblock here is simply it's such a big building, so it's more expensive. But to say, let me do that little building by the sewer, that's only a few bulbs, right? Or they did the pool. When they did the police station, there was an old section, so they just did it all at once. So the good news is most of it's already been done. We didn't realize that when we did the
Yeah,
motion.
the street lights were 90% done. He said, like, just the bulbs in the tennis court was gonna save us huge amounts of money.
Yeah, it's
So-
done.
So
I mean,
a lot of
sooner
progress.
or later we have to do it.
Well,
Yeah, I mean, we have to.
potentially,
It should
the
be done.
state will tell us we have to, potentially.
Yeah.
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 I just want to recommend that if we do go the LED route, we look into warmer lighting options and also things that smooth it out. Because currently, if you take your like slow motion, if you can do that on your phone and record LED lights, they flicker.
Yeah.
And that's the primary concern of a couple of neurologists that I follow with the Neuroscience Club at Clemson. And yeah, we're just concerned about the health effects of LED lights. There's already been a couple of lawsuits in, I think, Ohio about highways that are lit with LEDs causing disruptions to people's sleep patterns. But there are good options. We just need to be mindful of that.
Keep that thought, and we should tell that to Ron. And keep out this piece of paper about virtual meetings if you have time at the end. And I apologize, I have to be in 2 places at once tonight, so I'm going to leave early. My apologies.
We'll work on that cloning program.
What?
So we'll work on that cloning program.
Let me know when you get it.
we all can use it
Yeah.
at some point. Well, thank you, Eunice. Yeah, there are so many things. I mean, sometimes, we think about all the recommendations, but then there's some of the things which we have to go back and think about. What are the other sides?
This energy efficient subcommittee will meet again next Thursday at 3 o'clock at the Nettles Park.
Next Thursday.
Yeah, and NWF, and I guess it's a good thing we didn't, because we have no Chris anymore, but we're gonna meet in 2 weeks. So,
How often do you guys meet?
well, that was what we had to get nailed down.
Mm-hmm.
And we tried to get together before this meeting, but we had too many conflicts and we couldn't all be in one place at one time. So we're going to meet in 2 weeks. So we have a whole lot of nothing to report.
I actually have some things to report.
Okay.
I did get, I have the login and everything from Chris.
Okay.
So we're good on track on that, thanks to him. He did want to report, we have 97 out of 200 points, so we're almost halfway there. We did certify 4 parks, he did.
Okay.
I may have put that in the report. Can't remember exactly offhand. Yes. Ashley Deering Park, Gateway Park, Mountain View Park, and Clemson Park have all been certified. And then there are some points that they awarded us for the tree giveaway as well. They just had to wait until the tree giveaway actually happened to count it. So that helped with the points as well. And I'll just step in to the meetings.
Okay, great.
And everything, and we'll move ahead.
Yeah, so I looked it up also, and it said out of the 200 points, we have 97, and we need 103 more points, but 75 of those needed points come from, it says registration goals, education goals, community outreach, administration. I know we want to get as many individual homes certified.
Yes.
But there's also a lot of kind of administrative work to do.
Yeah, I think the balance that Chris was trying to strike is that we can do some of that stuff as a city, but as an outreach that we encourage homeowners to be a part of it. And that was why he was kind of holding off on some of that so that we could encourage more of the homeowner participation. And if we can get the downs, there's a few hundred homes in there. I do think the administration area has been certified.
Yes.
But we could certainly do some outreach there. And
I've thought about talking to scout troops because
I don't know if they were on our list, but that's a good one.
Yeah.
What were the 4 parks again? Mountain View, Ashley Deering. It's probably
Gateway Park, Ashley Deering, Gateway, Mountain View, and Clemson Park. And we could probably certify all of them. Again,
There
it's
was-
just that
Yeah,
balance.
there was one that didn't meet, but all the others did
Yeah.
when I surveyed them.
So I think Nettles Park has already been certified.
It's behind,
So should we focus more on parks and public places, or, we should focus on both, but our focus is to reach out to homeowners
The
and,
more homeowners we get, the idea is that it is communicating this conservation idea and that we're looking at habitat. And that's the whole thing. Are we doing what we can do in our own yards?
what do we do to reach out to the people who live in Clemson downtown area, or actually downtown, or the Clemson University surroundings? How do you reach out to those people?
Well, that's all part of the public outreach. I think you had recommended last time maybe doing tags on the trash cans.
Yeah.
Was one idea.
Yeah.
So
There
there's,
is a group next door that is Clemson DNA.
Next
which
door,
is
yeah,
good.
they-
So it gets both sides of College
Yeah.
Avenue downtown.
Yeah, the next door, I do get emails, but sometimes they put too much information, and what happens when you put too much information in one of those emails, then it just kind of hides in it and dies down significance of it.
What about an event at Kite Hill? You know how they have that night that's like, what do they call it? Talk to me like. I've never been, but you know, like they have a night where it's like, they have people that will come in and talk about
26th at
different things.
6:30.
but-
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
They had
At
a
3.
night market last
At
weekend,
Noodles
maybe
Park.
there could be like an afternoon event on a Sunday afternoon.
That's a
You know,
great
come learn about how to get your yard, because you'd get Patrick Square there too.
Yeah, Patrick Square is
Where
one
did
of
you
those-
say?
Kite Hill, do like an
Oh,
afternoon,
the
like a
brewing.
Sunday afternoon at the brewery on, you know, how to do this.
That's how you bring people together right there.
And you have that huge, you know, Patrick Square, people can, and Camelot, you know, right there.
Well, I thought if once they start up their, they always have that farmer's market there.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought maybe we could set up a table at the farmer's market once it gets going again.
Yeah.
Does the chamber still run the farmer's market? Okay.
We coordinate through the chamber to get a table.
We had tried to get a freebie table there for Master Gardeners, but asking Master Gardener, but they were still charging, so Master Gardener said
How
no.
much was it?
$100, this was a couple years ago,
For a table?
for the season, yeah.
Oh, for the season, okay.
Or the library too, do we have things that was up?
Yeah, well,
Can I chime in?
yeah, come
So,
on.
but with our city partnership with the chamber, they may be able to help get that educational information out. Let's keep that in mind.
We had an energy efficiency workshop at the library a few months ago. So they would be, I'm sure, very open.
Yeah.
And Eunice put that together.
Okay.
So that's another one.
We could tie it in with seeds.
Yeah, we have, how many weeks we have left to do all this?
I think the goal was Earth Day. So
Yes, it was, but
So that's why I was hoping that we'll have some kind of outdoor event where we are, we have not decided the date. We need to decide that date when we are going this field trip or something. We can talk to people, we can advertise, can sometime we can decide the date.
well, I tried to get in touch with
brochures
Chad
Yeah.
because we were going to do a walk on the Crescent Trail
Yeah,
kind of thing,
exactly.
but he never emailed me back.
He emailed me today about doing a walk.
Okay, great.
I have not responded back.
Okay.
Okay, so what do you think? When can we do that? When we can tie all of these things together and we can really promote these things?
I think last meeting, we had a couple of proposed dates, but I'm not seeing them here
No, I
on
don't.
the minutes. We had talked about it.
We didn't have, we said that when weather is nice and we can talk about we were going to wait for spring, so if we can decide a date sometime in, we'll look at our dates.
So I'll respond to Chad about that, and
Yeah.
we can all figure this out over email.
Yeah, if we can figure it out as soon as possible, then we can publicize it and promote it.
Yeah, that's good.
I'll put a poll out for something.
That would be good. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And we want this to be a walk on the Green Crescent Trail. We
Yeah,
have a-
Green Crescent Trail, and it will be kind of discovery walk, which we are learning about things, and that's what I wanted to make an event.
Do we have a beginning and an end point, or I guess
We
it's
can
gotta be-
decide, no, we can decide it.
you could go community garden to
Garden-
botanical
That's what I was
garden.
thinking that.
Garden to garden walk.
Yeah, garden to garden walk, because I'm an avid walker, so I just want to walk, I don't even bike.
We could
But-
even organize.
Like
at
if
least
it's if it's a 5 miles walk or something like that, it is a good,
I don't think it's that long, but yeah.
it's not that long. We can do that. Let's try to fix the date and nail it down.
I could probably get a Tiger Transit.
Yeah,
to
let's
take Target
do
Botanical
that.
Gardens,
Be-
Yeah.
go to Clemson.
Yeah,
Yeah, we'd have to get away back.
because what happened, summer coming in, spring coming, often we all travel and then there's a conflict. So once we have the dates put down, we'll do that. And we need to move on to our next
Tree
agenda. Yeah.
preservation, anything with tree preservation?
Yes, I sent you an email
Okay,
with,
let me check right quick.
the flyer.
McDonald's is part of Crescent Trail. It goes into Anderson Park. Yeah.
Nice.
So what else?
So I,
What they were saying about garden, that's.
I put this together with the, is it an ordinance? Do you know this, what we would call that, the program that you shared with me?
What did we call it? I can't remember
Yeah.
the formal name, Andrew. Tree preservation ordinance.
Ordinance program, I think it said tree preservation program, but I wasn't
Program.
sure if that. But, I put this together from the information on that, handout. Yeah, there we go. I don't have the exact language on here, and I don't know where people can find this to sign up for it. But I did put a placeholder, if you'll see in the middle, it says place QR code here.
Yeah.
Where we can make it really easy for people who have this flyer and wanna participate in the program to scan and take them to a page. I don't know if we have a page.
I don't think we have a page, but that little step-by-step, the first step was to do the individual inventory of your trees, and then contact planning and codes,
Okay.
planning and development.
Okay. So I guess I should update this and put that information on here. Okay, and then there's the inside of the flyer. It just talks more about why we want to do this. I mentioned the heat map that the city of Clemson undertook to identify priority areas for tree planting. And if we're handing these out, if we're canvassing, that would be a good place to hand them out. I don't know if copyright's gonna get me. I took these images off of the city and the university's websites. So, like, these are all Clemson trees. They're all real and local.
Where did you get that, the first picture? That was so beautiful.
In the middle right there,
No, the first one.
on the last page.
Oh, that's right up the hill.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's right there.
Yeah, okay. It looks so different. That's what I was thinking.
Those are the,
Azaleas are.
Yeah. The yellow azaleas, yeah, there's
Yeah,
just.
we could update it if we need to, but, I'll share this with all of you to see if there's anything that we need to do, as far as changes go, or, making it easier for people to understand how to go through this process. But I'm really eager to get out there and start handing these out. I've got a list of like 15 trees now that I'm gonna go knock on their owner's door. But does this need to go through some sort of approval process with the city?
yes, let me pass it along, because everything now that we put out goes through a process.
Okay.
Of social media and public distribution. We have a information individual who does this kind of stuff now. So.
Absolutely. Okay, so I think the only thing that I really need is approval and a QR code to put on there.
Let me send this to Bree, and then I'll talk to planning and codes, and we'll see if we can't get a link directly to that part of the ordinance that has the protection.
Perfect.
Preservation.
Thank you. I'm glad you did it.
Yeah.
It's actually very good timing too, because we're updating the website at the same time.
Perfect. Good. Synchronicities. Other than that, I've kind of put the tree ordinance thing to the side. However, I do want to take another look at Greenville's tree ordinance. Initially, I did a comparison with us and Charleston's because they have really stout protections for their trees, but it would be good to look at Greenville to see what they're doing, because a lot of the things in that Charleston ordinance just didn't align with upstate tree planting. So kind of take what I gave you before and throw that away. Something will be coming down the pipeline.
That's the way it works. You just have to keep,
Iterating.
yes.
And then, by show of hands, who is on the tree subcommittee? All right.
I'm sorry, I've been absent for a while.
You're all right. You're all right.
We needed you back.
I'm happy to join too.
That would be wonderful. Okay, and then we haven't had a formal meeting with the tree subcommittee, but if we'll email and get that on the books sometime. I think that's it for us.
Well, thank you so much, Andrew, for doing all this. And we'll wait for your flyer to be approved. Only then we can share it with anybody. Good to know that anything which you want to promote or publicize, I mean, I did not think about it, but now, we want to make sure that social media or anyways, anything related to us is in public, that should be approved. Thanks. Staff report. Staff report from Tony.
First thing I wanted to talk about, I wanted to make some clarifications for a couple of things that I mentioned last meeting about recycling and Pickens. I know I talked with Cindy and Shelley had some questions about cardboard. Pickens County does still recycle. They recycle cardboard, they recycle plastic 1 and 2. Anything that you take to Public Works and they have bins for, that's what Pickens County is recycling. So Pickens County is recycling the cardboard. The cardboard is picked up on Fridays. And Cody told me this afternoon that if you call Public Works, you can get on that schedule. That's how that works. And if you just need to give them 48 hours notice for your cardboard to be picked up so they can put you on the schedule.
And that's every week?
I think so, every Friday.
So this is just an ask, but it might be too much. But like I was telling you, there's a neighbor that puts theirs out very neatly. They have it in like an old tall recycling bin. They break it down and it's like they save all their cardboard, but they put it with their trash and we're a Monday pickup. Is there a possibility, and I know this is asking like it's an extra thing, but if like we had flyers that the garbage crew, if they notice that, put it on their trash can. Hey, you can call and have a pickup on Friday. Because I know I've seen that noted. I've seen it in like the community connection and things like that. I just think people aren't paying attention or else think that, I don't know, that it'll be recycled.
That's maybe another job for the information team.
Yeah. But yeah.
So you mean to say they put it nicely and they is picked up by the garbage instead of
I think they think that it
recycling?
might be picked up for recycling, but, you know.
And they don't know that.
Yeah, so it's like if, you know, just
Yeah.
if you notice that, hey, and also like when people are like move in and they have all the boxes, just something that,
Maybe up that information around, schedule to up the information around when move in and move out is happening. 'Cause you
yeah.
could
And they
do
could
that.
either, because we could say, you know, there could be a couple of things. You can call the city, they'll come pick it up on Friday. There's also Kite Hill or the, you know, Public Works Recycling to take it to. I don't know. But have it be that specific thing, not on a flyer with other stuff.
Yes, just that one
Yeah.
thing.
I understand nobody's doing glass now.
I think glass is still happening. They're
Pickens still collects glass.
yeah, so they're
No
For-
green and no green anymore, but they still do brown and clear.
and that's just for the time being.
What about is the Public Works doing aluminum?
I don't think so, but
Okay.
I could check.
Kite Hill and Pendleton does. So-
There, I know there's a collection trailer at Fire Station 2 on Issaquah Trail.
Yeah.
Is it still there?
Public Works selects it, I don't know what they do with it, but
Right. I think they've been taking the aluminum to Kite Hill, right?
Okay.
And the one at the fire station, still collecting, but that's the fundraiser for the fire department. Just
Okay.
keep that in mind, which is, it's a great cause.
Yeah.
It's a great cause.
What about I see there's a place where in front of, near that, what is this, gas station on College, just before Astro Theater, what is that,
Circle K.
Circle K, yeah. I think that's where I see there is one big bin, there. This recycling, that, I have noticed it's something, it has lots of cardboards.
I don't know about that one.
Some of the businesses
Just for
have
business.
cardboard, so.
Okay, I know Botanical Garden, all towards that end, near that house, there used to be containers which said that recycling boxes. There are a couple of places I think they have put, I don't know who is recycling those, maybe those places people are.
At the Botanic Garden, we do have cardboard recycling.
Yeah, just cardboards, yeah.
Because we have to pay to have that removed.
Yeah.
Just a couple of more things off of my staff report here. Really wanted to give a shout out to the Eagle Scout project that happened at 12 Mile. They worked 2 weekends over there, had some volunteers from the university, some fraternities came over and helped out. And they created a little over a quarter-of-a-mile trail, just a single track nature trail, tying Shelter 2, goes around the crown of the hill, past the picnic areas, through the woods, parallel to the perimeter road, and then ties back into the Shelter 2 area. So we're constantly getting questions and requests for trails at that park. So it's great that we had an Eagle Scout come and fulfill that need for us. I wanted to mention the tree giveaway. We had a great time at the tree giveaway. I know Andrew came by, Rob came by, gave away 427 trees. So that, since we started our tree campaign in the city, we're a little over 1,400 trees that we've given away since 2022 when we started the campaign.
1,400 trees.
1,400 trees. And we've planted a little over 100 trees on private and commercial property so far. So really enjoying seeing those numbers go up on the campaigns.
Is there a way to make suggestions for people who lost trees all during Helena? What to plant back? I lost 4 big trees in my
Oh,
yard, and I want to
absolutely.
plant stuff back.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
So just some recommendations.
Yeah, let me write that down.
Another good website is the South Carolina Native Plant Society has recommended,
I know
oaks if you can have the room for them.
Yeah.
And patience.
South Carolina Forestry Commission has a great list. There's quite a few, any of the local city lists that have a preferred plant or tree list. I'm not one to, reinvent the wheel on that. I'll borrow from other municipalities because there's other folks that have covered it thoroughly. But yeah, yes.
So what do you give away when you give away those trees? What kind of trees are you giving away?
All native trees, anywhere from as large as a swamp white oak down to a red bud. We had some pawpaws this year, which was cool. Those were very popular. We had three different species of oak. We had some bald cypress, some black gum, just very nice trees. They're 7-gallon. They're in really good shape. So things that we can fit in people's car. That's the fun part. I know you've come over.
We've got about 4 of them.
Yeah, so yeah, they're good trees, and it's a good way to talk to people and talk about trees, and you'd be amazed at the area that these folks will travel to come get these trees. I mean, we've had people from Georgia, Spartanburg, up near Gaffney, we've had folks come down and get trees. So it's pretty cool. At the end, when everything's said and done, we have a lottery for the trees that are left over. So you get in line and you can work your way through and end up with a lot more trees that way.
Yes.
So,
We had some people with the club Students for Stewardship go, and we ended up with like 18 trees.
Awesome.
We've since disseminated, I think, 8 of them, so now we only have to plant 10, but.
Will there be another one in the fall as well?
We'll probably do one around, they usually do just one Duke Energy sponsored one. And we usually do that in the spring, John. But last year we did one around Arbor Day. So I just have to set that up with Trees Upstate. And we'd like to do another tree planting. Last year we had one at the elementary school, which was great. 55 trees, I believe, we planted. Both of these guys were there, and we toted water, 5-gallon buckets of water up and down that big old hill in the back of the elementary school. That was after everybody had left, right?
Yeah. We were left, it's all good. The update on Clemson Downs, I was out there today. Of the 20 trees that are planted, I think 19 are still in good shape.
Nice.
So they've done a great job watering and maintaining them, protecting them, so that's been great. And this site that we did, was that 2 years?
That was 2 years ago. 20 trees in 2 hours.
The 19 are still.
Nice. Well, I've got some extras. We can go replace the dead one.
James will be all over that.
That's,
My dog. Sorry.
you guys can look through the report. I'm going to move on to the Clemson University Sustainability Commission. And Martin, correct me if I get any of this wrong. I'm new. I'm trying to get the acronyms and everything. But the National Sustainable Forest Audit passed. They are now ready for certification. Like I said last time, they're going to be the first organization ever to be certified under this. So that's a really big deal. And they have done a lot of work. National Sustainable Forest.
Thank you.
I think one of the goals was to set up a database for data sharing. That would be wildlife plan, their STARS report, et cetera. It's kind of combining all of the efforts and putting it on a database to where they can access it and promote it. Provost Jones visited and addressed some concerns over the recent federal government policy changes. Sustainability Commission will remain. Focus on efficiency, resilience, conservation, environmental well-being, which is a great term. That's the first time I heard that term, and I'm like, man, I'm stealing that. Environmental well-being, man.
Yeah.
That's a great one. University is prioritizing budget concerns and business practices. So just kind of evaluating some of these certifications as, spending money on some certifications and efforts and how that balances with academics and teachers and classrooms and things. One note that I thought was interesting, South Carolina spent $350 million last year for recovery, and it may not be just last year, it may be yearly. That I don't know exactly that quote, but I was pretty stunned by that. So just a focus on resiliency would be something interesting going forward. And that could be our pollinators, that could be our trees, that could be our recycling program, all these things that will make us resilient as we move into more effects from climate. The Sustainability Summit I know was mentioned. Andrew and Rita were both there. Just hearing from the committee, it was a big success. Great conservation panel discussion. Creative inquiry teams was mentioned, and a collective student group research was also mentioned. So it sounds like some great things took place there.
It was a lot.
Their summit.
Really good. There was a pitch competition as well, and I pitched on biofertilizers.
So you did. So I was thinking that they are mentioning this name Andrew. He's the winner. Yeah, and I was saying to my husband, yeah, is this the guy? I think it's Andrew.
Yep.
Okay. Well, congratulations. Yes. He was one of them. Yeah. Yes.
One of the last things here is the subcommittee will continue to work on a list of goals and report back to the main commission. So really enjoying meeting with those folks. I didn't say anything this time, but I'd like to, as we go on, just kind of draw our groups together and our efforts and together with Martin, and hopefully we can get some synergy through the whole community. I don't want to take up too much more time, but I do, Andrew asked if I would do a little short presentation about the Berkeley Orchard And this kind of plays into the things that you were talking about, Ann. This is a city initiative here. So several years ago, back in 2022, I was auditing a design class at the university, Paul Russell's design class. The class is called Landscape Architecture, Forest and Field Studio. And one of the students had developed a habitat forage in the South Forest. And I was just amazed by this. I'd never heard of such a thing. And he just was so thorough with his design, all the way down to the way he maintained it. He mowed things certain times a year because certain things were pollinating, and he just really had a nice plan laid out. So I thought if we ever had an opportunity to do something like this would be really cool. So also in 2022, the city purchased a piece of property at the intersection of Berkeley Drive and Issaquena Trail. And with the assistance of the South Carolina Conservation Land Bank, that they provided half of the money for this property. When this happened, there's a whole thing that you have to fill out when you do a grant, of course, and you need to say what your intent is. And because of seeing the habitat forage, we got into discussions about, one, continuing the Green Crescent Trail, because of that map that you saw earlier that would tie Tottie's Place across this piece of property and eventually tie into Nettles Park. And then in between, we would try to attempt a habitat forage. You know, we're displacing a lot of wildlife in our town, and it would be nice just to have a demonstration of these pollinator meadows, pocket prairies, as Martin put it, and then just some things, some trees and plants that we don't necessarily have to spray. So the idea is getting away from fossil fuel, getting away from herbicides, and having a place where we can all go down and enjoy. So what you're looking at is some of the designs that the students came up with. The first one, they got a little excited and went over on private property. Sorry, I know you were getting ready to take a picture, John, but yeah, some of this is a little adventurous, and maybe, you know, Nathan Hinkle, the city engineer, has been talking with Poplar Ridge there, the new development, and there is a good bit of buy-in. So we actually, Nathan Hinkle, Ethan Barnett, the stormwater manager, myself, walked to this area the other day. We've got a survey on it now, and Nathan is looking at these projects that are being proposed that will be brought before City Council for the Green Crescent Trail, and tying in with Berkeley Orchard so that it can eventually tie Nettles Park to Berkeley Orchard, to Tottie's Place, to Ashley Deering, to Clemson Park, to Gateway, to the Botanical Gardens and the university. So this is just another piece of this. But when we do this piece, look at that thing. Yeah, just the minds at work here was really cool to see. We visited the site several times, and the students really came up with some interesting ideas here. Again, we went on private property, but...
And that's on the north side of the stream?
That is on the north side of the stream, yeah.
Is there any talk about doing any remediation on the stream itself? Because we've done some water testing there, and it's pretty pitiful.
Yeah. Yeah, Kathy Robinson, she's continuing to do some testing down there. Not with this project, but stormwater definitely has been looking at that. It's a very challenged part of that creek. And we've lost several more trees. It's just channeling all of that energy during these storms.
Yeah, they just need to put in some breaks.
Yep.
Yeah, I will say, I just sent in a proposal for my final project for my hydrology class, and we're going to do a Rosgen stream classification at this site. And once we do that, we might have some recommendations.
Perfect. Awesome. Awesome. Just let us know when you're on site so that we just need to know for liability's sake and I'd be happy to come down there with you.
That'd be great.
Just a few more of these, just kind of the process. I know it's kind of hard to see some of the plant material, but it's all great stuff. And then just a little cutaway. Again, some ambition. It's in a floodplain.
Sure.
So we can't really add soil. There's very little grading that we can do down in that floodplain. A trail can be added as long as we're not removing or adding soil. Stream restoration can happen because that's considered maintenance. But that is a blue line stream and it is regulated.
I apologize if this is offensive, but I've only been here second meeting, so I just heard a great story about Unity Park and the massive flooding they had out in the floodplain, and it behaved exactly as they designed it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm wondering if that can be a
Yes.
similar dynamic with that, because it recovered within like 24 hours.
Yeah, definitely. No, it has to be. The good thing about that section is we don't get as much sedimentation there currently as we do in some of the other floodplains like Nettles Park. That thing is, I've seen the grade change a little over a foot in the 13 years I've been down there. So it's a really challenging spot. But fortunately, this one doesn't experience that right now. But you lose a few more trees, and things change. But that's a great point, John. And then that's sort of the money shot there. Just beautiful, beautiful work they do. They're going to sell a lot of designs when they get out in the.
Yeah, there's.
But this, I hate saying real world experience because the classroom is the real world too. But this is a good chance for students to have some practical application. And love seeing those pollinator meadows, very intentional, and even having a maintenance plan for mowing patterns. That was part of the grid, Andrew, you were asking about earlier, is this was set up in a grid. Some of it was for maintenance purposes. And some of those crossing paths would be pervious paths. This wouldn't all be hard paths.
Just made me think about the wildlife certification in the Copper Springs. There's a couple of churches. The University Baptist Church that's right across from Max Drive-In? They had wildflowers last year in a huge section, and they have land, behind the church. And St. Andrew, that whole garden area.
It's certified now.
It is certified?
Last week.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
But
Good call.
What is it?
This University Baptist Church, reaching out to some of these places. Now, yeah, they're still in Clemson.
They are.
Yeah.
And then you get the membership.
Yes, then you, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great call.
Is that for the NWF?
Yeah.
I just have to say, I wrote the NWF meeting on our board just to remind me, and one of the guys came in and wrote National Wrestling Federation over there.
Not that.
But this is the last little slide. I just thought that was kind of cool. I was joking with Andrew earlier. I didn't know if the butterflies and birds were attacking the kids or if they were chasing the. But anyway, I just wanted to share that with you. And Andrew, thank you for suggesting it.
Yeah, this is awesome.
So it's just great to see the city look at something intentional as far as a park, and this will have a lot of educational opportunity with it as well. And we're looking at having a miniature version of the community garden. There'll be raised beds out of the floodplain. So just a lot of cool ideas of things that we can do down there.
That's great. I do want to add that, so the club that I started is focused on this idea of regenerative agriculture, which I think really aligns with the goals of this, where you can actually add to the ecology by engaging with it, rather than all human activities being a negative. So I'm super stoked about this project, and there's a lot of really cool principles with permaculture and regenerative ag. There's great documentaries like Kiss the Ground, highly recommend it, 10 out of 10. But if like these ideas of regenerative ag coming to like cities and people actually engaging with them publicly is what's gonna like save our world from climate change at the end of the day. So this is great. Good job, Tony.
It's always a collaborative effort. These designs will change. This was just a great exercise, but it gives us a good idea of what that space can really be.
Yeah, I mean, all these things, when I see these pictures, they're like just so beautiful. You want to see this really happening. You want to see this really in reality when you go around the city. With my personal experience, I feel that still we are not able to really promote this committee's goals and things to the general, like public. I know we are here, look at it, the botanical garden and even master gardener and all these things. But it's not reaching out to because when I meet the general public, they are not really, and let's say the little bit more younger generation, like that. Not the people who are involved, that's different. But I'm saying that people who live in the city, they need to be aware of it, of all these places, all these walking areas. I know so many of these people, from living for so many years in this town, but I don't see this, including myself, I was not before that. Everybody is so busy when you're working, in your work, in your, day-to-day life, that these things are not really presented at, unless somebody is retired, and then you just, you put your effort and attention to these things. What can we do to make this thing aware for the day-to-day normal people, young people who are so busy doing so many things, but besides, their busy schedule, busy mind, not many people are aware of this thing, what we are doing and what we are trying to do. What can we do to reach out to people? Something to think about it.
That's the golden question.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot of little things. It's never the big thing.
That's, yeah.
This, just for example, this is the future of landscaping. This needs to be the future of landscaping, not, we're kind of stuck in this Victorian turf and, sea of mulch and shrubs, and it really needs to be things that will benefit all life in a community. But people have to get used to seeing this, and it has to be put on display, because sometimes it doesn't look so good. It's not always about beautification as much as it is about purpose.
Habitat.
But I do feel like the national wildlife, the tree giveaways, the communication, the things that you guys are putting together are all these little things that build up, and eventually it's on everybody's mind and everybody participates. So I think it's just, how do you get these little things out? And get participation for all of these little things.
And I think a tremendous testament to just within neighborhoods.
Yes.
Yeah.
You get just a couple champions in a neighborhood that can lift up. So I'm super excited about the possibilities. Eunice has talked about trying to get a few of the neighbors in Camelot that have native plant, basically yards, to just go back to the old garden tour. Just stop on by, take a look, get some ideas.
Have a tomato.
Anderson Water is doing a rain barrel here in April. For folks who want to start doing that, just each
I think that this
native plant society had a sale on April 12th. Go out and get native plants.
Is there a central place for where we can find that? Like, is that on the city website, April 12th, the native plants doing something?
It can be. And there's like I say, a vetting thing if it has, if it is city affiliated or can be affiliated somehow.
So when you talk about city's website, okay, so not everybody is going to look for let me do today, sit down and look at what's happening in the city and go to the city website. Not people are not going to do that. We have to bring people that, hey, this is happening, let me go to the city's website and find out information. So that kind of awareness I'm talking about. They say that is on the city's website. How many people are just sitting in the evening and say that, okay, let me put down my phone and let me look at what's happening in the city's website about the, you would do that. Because you are in the business. I am in the business. So I mean, do look at the things.
Yeah, these are the
Our
people that are
committee
here.
is still not listed on the city website.
Well, they're still working on it. We're giving
That's
them,
all right.
we're
But
giving them a
that-
grace period there.
But, so that's what I'm saying, we
I
have
have
to have
asked.
these events.
I looked on the calendar, and it wasn't on, our meeting wasn't on the calendar.
Yeah.
All
Well,
right.
Redheaded
When I
stepchild.
applied, I was trying
All
to
right,
find
yeah.
out who was on the committee, and like, yeah, you couldn't
I
find
don't have
anybody.
anything for new business. This was open discussion.
I'll bring it up again.
Secret committee.
Yeah.
Well, it's 8 o'clock, so we probably
What'd you
have
say?
enough time.
Time. All right. Give me a second to, if you want to
So
go
I
ahead.
move that we postpone the discussion about virtual meetings until the next meeting.
I second that.
Second that.
We all second it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All in favor?
All in favor? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Motion to adjourn.
So when we,
Motion.
one more thing, I just wanted to say, as I said, I wanted to end this thing with that we should have come up with a date for all these events where we can work on, like, meeting, having that walking trail, walking event, and where we can advertise, we can reach out to mass people, regular people who are, part of Clemson. I still don't see that, so next time when we meet, we should probably think
Put that
about
on
it.
the
Discuss it,
agenda.
yeah, put it on the agenda. Well, thank you so much. And it's 8 o'clock. Adjourn, meeting adjourned. Everybody,
Have a motion?
Yes, ma'am.
I think adjourn motion.
everybody in
second that
favor?
motion.
Second. Thank you.
You come to the Botanic Garden on 4, 5, or 26th of April.